Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another live conversation. I'm Dan Prochko with My Pocket Marketing. I'm sure you saw that I've kind of retitled these live conversations, The Road to Open, as we're moving toward the relaxation of certain lockdown requirements, and all of us getting antsy as the lockdown, continues longer. We all need to find our way toward opening and keeping our businesses thriving and succeeding and growing. And so I'm really excited today with my guest, Jeannie Henderson. Jeannie is experienced, an amazing entrepreneur, and she has tons of real world stories and insight to provide. Everything from having one of the most successful Little Caesars franchises in the nation, to pioneering Qdoba, to now Jeannie Cleaning and coaching. We were just talking before starting about coaching over 200 other businesses. Jeannie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Dan. It's great to see you. It's been a while.
It has. Yeah, we met, I want to say it's about 6-8 months ago now because of BNI. And I know that with the coaching, that's kind of taken you away a bit, but how are you? How are things going?
We're doing well.
Okay.
There are lots of blessings that are coming in this time. It took me a little time to find them, but life has some challenges. We've hit a big bump in the road, but we're really doing well. My family's doing well, and our business is still standing.
Well, that's really great to hear, because as we were preparing for this, we were talking about how so many businesses and colleagues that we speak to are really worried and saying things like, I can't open, or I don't know what to do next. And you were even saying that when the lockdown first hit, there's a really big impact on Jeannie Cleaning, and just in the spirit of transparency, but also to let others know, like, we're all in the same boat here. Like, how was that for you? What happened?
Well, it happened pretty quickly. We probably should, looking back, you could see the signs that it was coming. I think I was in denial, that it was going to happen. And I was in Dallas at a conference with over 200 cleaning business owners when everything started to come down. I returned home on March 15th. And while we were there, we all realized what was happening back in our markets. And so we kind of huddled together and started to formulate a plan how our businesses were going to survive. But when I did come home, shortly thereafter, the executive order came down and we closed our business on March 24th. So I went from really having a thriving cleaning business to sending all of my employees home and telling my customers I couldn't service them. And partly I just wasn't sure if I could stay open, but in our state, the climate is very different than it is across the country, because I work with cleaning business owners all over the United States and Canada.
Yeah.
The climate here is very different. People are very sensitive to anyone not doing exactly what, they think they should be doing according to the executive order. And so we had to be sensitive to that. We had to be sensitive to the attitudes of our community and of our customers and of our employees. So we shut down.
How, I know that we're blessed in the sense that, with marketing, a lot of our clients, we're looking to us for advice and help in pivoting. In terms of the communication and informing your clients and employees, what did that look like? I mean, because there's a lot of empathy that has to go in, a lot of compassion. How did you use the channels you have available to you and or processes already in place to help you through that?
Well, I followed the philosophy that during a time of crisis, there is no such thing as over communicating. And so we have from day one communicated consistently with our staff and with our customers. And we've done it across all channels because, as you know, as a marketer, that you just can't reach people one way. And some people like text messages, and some people like video, and some people like social media, and some people like email. And so we used every method we had available to us to just keep the conversation going. And it really helped out.
Yeah, I mean, I tip my hat to you. I know we've had a lot of conversations over the last few months about those elements, but having that email list, the text opt-ins, and those communication platforms that allow you to utilize them to help you with that communication is not something many businesses of your size have. So I think that's a boon for you, especially in this time where over communication is key. To let everyone know what's going on. What was the response like when you announced weren't able to operate anymore? Because you were saying that we're different than other states.
Yeah.
Were your customers angry? Were they relieved? What was kind of the mood going on?
I think there was definitely a level of understanding why we did what we did. There was from our staff. Our staff were really unsure of what the climate was going to be like out there. They didn't really understand if they were safe. People really hadn't plugged in to get the information to understand their level of safety. And so it took some education. We tried to help our staff and customers kind of understand those things. But there was definitely an appreciation of just, thank you for making a choice that you thought was the best for everyone. And we received a lot of really kind communication. We even had, several people want to send money to help our staff.
Oh, wow.
I mean, just really very, very sweet notes from our clients. And I didn't have anyone angry at us, not one person.
Well, congrats. That's not always easy. I mean, from the sound of it, though, it sounds like a lot of your staff was disappointed. I mean, saying you had to shut down. I take it that at the time you weren't able to keep the staff on. Is that right?
Yeah. So we did lay everyone off, and we just really felt that until we could take time to assess the entire situation and feel like that we were going back into our work fully prepared for the situation, we really couldn't ask our staff to continue working. We work in a very sensitive environment. We actually go into people's homes, which is the exact opposite of what everyone is telling you to do.
Right.
So, but I showed you this before, but I'm wearing a shirt. So this shirt says entrepreneur by birth, Buffalo by choice, right? So, and that talks about going towards something instead of away from it. So there's a story that we talked about in my cleaning business coaching group about the cow and the buffalo. And when there's a storm coming and the cows and the buffaloes are out on the pastures, and they see a storm coming in the distance, the cows and the buffaloes act very, very differently.
Really?
Yeah, this is the story. And I've looked it up online, and you can find it lots of places if you search cows and buffaloes. But cows tend to turn away from the storm and run away from it.
Huh.
And buffalo turn into the storm and run through it. And by running through the storm, they actually get through the storm faster, and they use less energy. So they're stronger on the other side of it, where the cows become overcome by the storm, and they're actually running kind of with the storm.
Yeah.
And become exhausted by it.
Yeah.
So my group, we talk about being a buffalo. We're running into the storm, and, we're facing this with strength and confidence, positive energy. We are doing everything we can to increase our knowledge and our ability and support our staff and our businesses and our customers, our community. So
I know on that note, I hear that story, and what it is like it's attacking what's here, and maybe attack is too strong a word, but it's just face it. It's take action in the face of adversity. And I know that you run your business from a standpoint of culture and values, and so you actually were able to get back to operating much sooner than a lot of other industries or companies, either out of ingenuity, innovation. You were telling me back on May 4th, you were able to open and start operating again, right?
Yes. So as soon as we shut down, I immediately started researching our ability to reopen and what that would take to make us able to reopen. And the first thing that I did was understood the legality of it. And honestly, cleaning is the first defense for avoiding the spread of infection.
Right.
They talk about washing your hands, right? All the time. Wash your hands, wash your hands. Well, all cleaning is essential to health, not just washing your hands. So surfaces also need to be clean to maintain the health of a home or a building. And so I researched this and do have language, and it is pretty much this way across the country. There's a nationwide organization of cleaning businesses. It's called the ISSA. And they have gathered language from every state on what the legality is regarding essential businesses, right? So cleaning is essential to health. And so anyone who works in the area of keeping homes safe and sanitary, so the safety and sanitation of residences is considered critical infrastructure. So information is power, right? So I have that language from the executive order that our business is essential. And I had that probably 2 weeks after we closed, but I still didn't feel we were ready to open because there was a lot I needed to do to get ready.
Sure. So how did you, like, what are some of those things? I mean, already we can see, the allegory between the buffalo and what you're doing, taking that action and jumping in to find the way forward. So you find out that you're essential, you still don't feel ready to open. What are the next steps for you?
Well, I really started educating myself. I have worked more hours in the last 6 weeks than probably I have, ever in the time that I've owned this cleaning business. And my husband can tell you that, my son can tell you that. I am working nonstop, and I get up in the morning and I work until I just can't work anymore. So, but I have educated myself. I've participated in, gosh, I can't even tell you how many hours of online education for biorisk hazards. I've taken a house cleaning technician COVID environmental cleaning class and received a certification in that. That was a 2-day class. But yeah, I've spent like several whole days just doing education to prepare our business so that we were fully informed on how our processes had to change to serve the customer that was going to be waiting for us on the other side.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. And so now that you're operating again, May 4th, there's a lot of team you had to let go. And how are you approaching the rehiring phase right now? Are all of your past employees available still, or how have you addressed it? Because I know there are rules about unemployment. I'm sure many of them were on unemployment, but as they get, I was just talking with Colin last week that you told me that you had watched, but we had talked about if a past employee gets an offer, that technically is supposed to disqualify them from future unemployment. So there's this real sensitive process that has to take place. As business owners, we have, we care for our employees. We've already disrupted their lives, and here we're going to come back and do something new. So what happened? Like, were you able to bring them all back?
Well, I did maintain engagement with them through the whole process. We talked with them at least weekly, sending videos, emails, text messages, checking in on them, making sure they're okay, helping them through the unemployment process, helping them navigate and coach them through it. And so I maintained that close relationship so that they would want to come back and work with us. And then close to our opening, when we knew our opening date, we set up one-to-one Zoom calls with every single one of them and went through a questionnaire of, just understanding where they stood in this whole process, what their availability was, what has changed. And what we found was everybody wanted to come back.
Oh, that's awesome. I think, yeah, that's got to feel good, real good.
But not everybody could.
Right.
And so the ones who could not come back, it was mostly because of childcare. And that is one of the protected groups in the new unemployment ruling for this COVID time, that if childcare is not available, that they are still, they still have access to unemployment.
Right.
So, but childcare is a huge challenge right now. And I'm sure anyone who's listening to this knows coworkers who are going through it. It's a real problem because childcare facilities are not opening up. They don't know when they're going to open. A lot of them are based on the school year. So typically they wouldn't even open till June, like the summer childcares that are the ones that my staff would normally depend on. So right. I'm exploring ways to help them get childcare. I like fantasize about opening a childcare facility. So I can get my awesome staff back because I love them so much and I want them to come back. And our customers love them. They want them to come back.
Well, and the entrepreneur that you are, I know if you did, it would definitely succeed. One, we know there's a demand, but when you approach something, what I know is that you come at it and with all that research. So that's interesting. If anybody, I know those who are tuning in right now, if there are questions, please leave them. Maybe you're also in a similar boat as an employer or an employee with the childcare issue. We'd love to, to hear and learn more. If there are questions that you'd like to talk about outside of this, we can try and make ourselves available, in some way. But so now that we're after May 4th, you're operating again. Talk to me. Let's talk about marketing. I know one of the things I have talked with many of my colleagues and clients and just anybody, honestly, anybody will talk about it, but my clients and colleagues are, when these downturns happen, this is the time to keep your marketing going. And I know that was one thing you did through the over communication. It may not have been selling your product or your service, but it was informing others, letting them know we care. And so as we are in this new period right now, especially with, like you said, the sensitivity in Michigan, specifically about entering homes and cleaning, you are able to operate as essential. I'm sure there's trepidation. How are you utilizing those channels or your communication to continue to inform and grow the business back?
Yeah. Well, we did continue marketing. We did a lot of PR while we were closed. We came up with a couple of different community events to just keep our name out in the forefront, but also to give back. We did like a free disinfectant giveaway because people couldn't buy disinfectant in the store. So we held a free disinfectant giveaway since I had a storeroom full of product. And we also did a hometown hero contest, and we're giving away free cleanings to people who are doing great things in our community during this time. So we were still doing events and trying to give back to the community as much as we could. And we did turn off some of our marketing, not very much of it though. And we're gearing it back up again as we have staff to, fill the demand.
Yeah.
But our messaging has changed.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, the pieces that shut down were probably more geared towards sales and finding new clients. And those that remained were the ones that allowed you to continue to communicate. And that message just evolves into what it needs to be right now. Is that pretty much, how you've approached it a bit?
Right. And you do kind of start to see the attitudes of people you're interacting with through your different, avenues of communication. But what we've really felt is that people want cleaning, but their concerns have changed. So their attitudes, the reason that they want cleaning has changed. Now, the part didn't go away that I want my home to look tidy and sparkly. I want to feel comfortable when people come over. So I like to have my house clean. That didn't go away, but there's a new level of concern about cleaning for health.
Yeah.
So we definitely have, changed our messaging to address that.
So as I alluded to earlier in our conversation, you do a lot of coaching and have worked with a lot of other, specifically cleaning businesses. How do you approach that kind of marketing message retooling? What do you recommend that they do to find their voice in these times?
Well, I think they do need to kind of listen. I think listening is a big part. I think you know this. Listening is a big part of solo.
Definitely.
I'm not teaching you anything, but they need to listen to what's going on in their community. It's not what's happening nationwide necessarily, because every community, every state for sure is very, very different. And I coach people, all over the country. I talk with people all over the country, and that people really need to just be listening to what the messaging is out there. But they need to be the voice of confidence. They need to be the positive voice. I think we're all getting a little tired of the fear that people are talking about, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying we're all in this together, but if we all say we're all in this together, then your message just gets lost.
It gets diluted along with everybody else is saying the same thing. And I want to go deeper on that in a second, but you were talking about listening, and so wondering, do you have any secrets or tips that you could share on how to do that? Because we're all reading the news, we're all getting opinions from family and colleagues and whatnot. But in terms of listening to our customer themselves, what are the tools that you use to go and do that?
Well, we use a lot of ways to get feedback from our customers, and we do surveys, we have one-on-one conversations, we ask a lot of questions, and then we listen to what they say. And we know that the people who are our current customers are the demographic of those who are our future customers.
So are we talking, so sorry to interrupt, but are we talking more like social media and putting posts out there with questions and surveys, or are we talking more your email list and doing specific surveys, or actually one-to-one phone calls of just trying to see where customers are at? Or is it all of the above?
Check all of the above. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. We did a lot of everything, and we've been working really hard. We just figured we want to be listening and responding to what our customers want and what our community needs. And so we're really plugged in on social media. We're in the conversation. We're participating in the conversation, and we ask our customers what they think a lot. And so knowing what people think really helps you to form your message. Whatever they're concerned about is what you need to be answering. There's a great book called They Ask You Answer. And I think we just need to be always doing that all the time.
Where on social media are you most active? Is it across, 10 channels, or do you only have like a key 2 that you use?
Yeah, we're pretty old school. I'm kind of embarrassed about that. So, we have a very active Facebook presence, and that's probably the bulk of it.
Sure.
I watch a lot of other areas, but I can't say that I necessarily post in a lot of those other areas right now.
I think that's really key, because one of the things that we always recommend our clients is you don't need every social platform out there. It can be too much. And when we get into, or when situations like these arise, now I have to maintain all of these and dilute my time and myself. Whereas if I focus on key channels that I'm good at, where I know my audience is, I can help them the most.
I appreciate that. Now I don't feel so.
Oh, yeah. It's really easy to lose a ton of time across all of it. So like having your 1 or 2 channels that you're really going to keep track of, I think is really important. And the piece that I want to segue into that I find even more valuable, especially to owners or marketers or those of us in sales or just wanting to grow our business, is that listening post, is having listening posts. You said you pay attention to other areas, even if you don't post there. Wondering if you could share a little bit more about what you mean by that and how you do that.
Well, we participate in a lot of groups in our community and across the board in different industry groups. I'm involved in a lot of industry related groups, but also community groups. I'm involved in a lot of nonprofits, so I get a lot of communication from my nonprofit involvement. And so you just get a composite message when you kind of look at all of that and you start to hear common themes, and then you can provide answers to that, answers to the concerns that you're seeing in your community. You can provide answers to that in your marketing, in what you're doing for your business. And, you can see the needs that are out there, and then you can find ways that your business can fill those needs.
Yeah, we call those, like I was saying earlier, listening posts, whether that be a Facebook group or a hashtag on Twitter or Instagram, just understanding the zeitgeist or what are the topics and themes on everyone's mind right now, where you're not necessarily, like you said, participating, but you're getting all of that feedback and understanding, and that informs your message, so that you can be empathetic and you can be compassionate at these times, or understand what that value is in others. So I think it's really valuable, and I love hearing that there are businesses that do that. It's not something we hear of often when we even talk to our clients. So that's awesome.
I do think, Dan, there is a misconception that social media is like, I have to be constantly putting things out there.
Huge. Agreed.
But a lot of it is just interacting with people, responding to their posts. They take note of you when you're responding.
Yes.
You don't necessarily have to have originated the post. Maybe you can provide some helpful information to the person who originated the post. So then you become known as being someone who's helpful.
Right. So you're operating now, you found out you're essential, you found out what you've had to do. How have you gone about communicating that? Because a lot of businesses right now are going to be turning the corner. They're going to also, go out and do their research, understand how they can operate on some level. Is it going to be a curbside pickup? Is it going to be a delivery service? If they can't open stores yet, is it going to be some other new innovative way to do things? They're all going to have to communicate, what it is they're doing on their end that is keeping in line with everything going on. So if you could walk us through a bit of that communication that you've been doing, especially since you're in such a sensitive industry of entering people's homes, how have you gone about calming fears? And I'm really asking specific, like, is it constant emails? Is it a fact page? Is it blogs? It might be all of the above, but I think others would love to hear how you've gone about that.
Well, one thing I do want to address is that I don't think the fear is as great as it may seem, because we are not sensing that in the people who are calling.
Interesting. Okay.
So there's definitely concern, and we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing and we're being safe. But it's really it isn't that fearful out there,
Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah.
And it's great. It's great news. People are anxious to get back to some sense of what we knew before.
Right.
And so, but what we have done in that every communication that we have is that we are prepared with answers before the questions are asked. So
yeah.
If somebody asks, how are you making sure that my family is safe when you're coming to clean my home? We have a step-by-step answer of how we are observing social distancing and our use of PPE and how we've changed our procedures. And, we have all of that ready to go. The answer is already written because we've already anticipated the question. And, and there has been a lot of, and some of that has gone out as emails. I mean, it's a lot of information, and it's hard to do that any other way than email, but I've also used a lot of video communication. It's not out there. I do have videos on my Facebook page. We're getting ready to add some to our website, but most of the videos that we've sent have been direct to clients, direct to staff. So they haven't really been.
They're not public.
For public consumption. Yeah. Mostly marketing to our existing customer, because your existing customer is the easiest customer to have, right? So they already know, love, and trust you. So we really focused on keeping our existing customers. And yes, we have marketing to bring new people in. And when those new people come, we have all of the answers to all of their questions already written.
Yeah, I know we months ago when we first met talked about E-Myth and process documentation. I think a lot of that will help companies prep for those types of, or these types of situations where they're putting new things in place, get the documentation in place. Another thing I like to do is something I call a post-mortem. I know they do it in the medical world, and it's I don't mean for it to sound morbid, but it's like, what could happen after we launch? It's a pre-post-mortem. So you do a post-mortem before you even launch, so that you try to anticipate what are all the things that could happen to create all the contingencies and documentation for that. And it sounds like you and your team have jumped on that pretty well.
I can't say that we're perfect, though. I mean, I think one of the things that shocked me was that we weren't able to get all our staff to come back on.
Well, they all wanted to, unfortunately, with childcare and everything. So
yeah, but I didn't anticipate that, and I didn't prepare for it. And so, I don't like to ever sound like everything is hunky-dory and perfect, because it's not. And that was one of the mistakes I made. So I would say to anyone who's getting ready to open that they really need to know who's coming back. Clearly know. And if you have to hire to get ready for it, because I should have done that.
Has anything changed in your hiring because of all of this? I mean, you're looking to add new people to your team. I know you always take a culture approach, and it was one of those things of hiring on values. And I know you're always going to continue that piece. In this environment, have there been interesting questions, or has there been a difficulty of finding new staff members greater than before?
Well, I will tell you that we get very few applicants. I think that the pool of people who want to apply right now is pretty small, because there's really not a need to come to work. So,
yeah.
And that will change over time.
Definitely.
But there are people out there who really do want to work. I actually hired 3 people in the last week. So there are people, but just the flow of applications is slower.
Okay.
Kind of one of the shifts that we've made is now we're kind of looking for a more experienced person to work on our team, so that they can get on board faster. And they can be up to speed faster. So we didn't necessarily always look for people who had experience doing what we do in the past, because it is something we could train them to do. If they were already a good person, we could train them to do that. But now we're kind of looking for some more people with experience, just because we need them to come on pretty quickly and get to speed pretty fast.
One of the things that when I was talking with Colin last week, and some other conversations with colleagues and owners, I found were that when they were trying to or starting to rehire, they were finding that some employees didn't want to come back because they were making more on unemployment. I don't know, have you I don't mean with your past employees, I mean, even with new hires, have you run into that at all recently about, and I don't mean to share what you're paying employees, but have you run into that issue at all?
Yeah. So while people were off, I did need a little help doing a couple of those community service projects and things like that. And there were some people who were concerned that they wouldn't get their unemployment if they did that, and there's nobody to ask questions to, but actually you can work a little bit and still get your unemployment. It's just adjusted for the amount that you work. But I have had a few people that I've talked to, not people who've applied, but people who I've said, hey, would you be interested in doing this job or coming back, who were like former employees, and they were not interested because, they would be making more on unemployment than here. I am paying people more now to get them to come back on. But, with what was given for unemployment, that is more than, if you get the maximum amount, it can be more than what they would make here weekly. Although I do pay our people very well, but it is more. And
it's a really interesting situation because I'll say, even me, if I decided to fire all of my clients, I probably would have made more on unemployment, even as a self-employed, because I'm allowed to take that in Michigan, though I didn't, because I think there's greater value in helping businesses grow. But I think a lot of businesses are going to run into this. And I don't have the answer. I'm not posing a question really to say there is an answer or that you have it either, but this is going to be an interesting hurdle for us all to overcome, because there are many positions that are going to look to get filled that we're not commanding that type of compensation, though very valued part of any team, just the way this goes. So it'll be curious to see, as the unemployment expires, what's going to happen. Are lawmakers going to continue them, or are they going to allow them to expire? And I don't plan on this conversation going any more political than that, really, because I know where many people can fall, but it's an interesting hurdle, especially as we try to reopen. Who are those that we're asking back? Are we being conscious of those levels and things needed? So
it's very short-sighted though when people don't take a job, because the big dollars are going to run out in July, and that job won't be waiting for them. And if you have a good employer, they're giving up a good job, and there will be less jobs. There will be businesses who don't come back. There already are businesses who shut down. So there will be less jobs. And so not taking your job back, I do believe, is a short-sighted choice. And because
there are no promises. We can't make promises. We don't know how many more customers or clients we're going to bring on. Are we going to have the capacity needs or not? If others are willing to come back, I mean, we've got to take them, as business owners. I don't know if anybody watching has had any of those issues yet, but, sharing your stories can really only help us kind of get a better perspective on what's going on, and possibly find some better terminology or message, to share. So thank you if you do share those. As we get into kind of the end couple minutes, I wanted to touch a bit about the philanthropic efforts that you have. I know that with cleaning, you're part of Cleaning for a Reason. You talked about Hometown Heroes and the program that you're doing. Just wanted you to just share, because I know a bit about Cleaning for a Reason, but this Hometown Heroes is the first time I'm hearing about it. So I'd love to learn more. Would you mind?
Yeah, sure. So our primary charity that we're involved with is Cleaning for a Reason, and it's a nationwide organization that there are 1,200 partner cleaning businesses across the U.S. and Canada who participate, and together we provide free cleaning visits for cancer patients while they're undergoing treatment. And so we serve about at least one cancer patient a week. We try to take as many as we can, and then annually we plan a Cleaning for Cancer event, which this year will be in October. We're going to have a week-long Cleaning for Cancer event where we clean for a cancer patient, at least one every day. And then during this time, we were trying to think of what can we do to help people right now while we're not working. And then we came up with the idea of the free disinfectant day. Some of my friends across the country have done this as well in the cleaning business, where we provide free disinfectant to anyone who comes by with a bottle. We fill it up for them, because grocery stores still don't have disinfectant.
I think that's great.
And so we did make that available to people, and we may do it again. We talked about possibly doing that again.
Okay.
And then
well, if you do, let me know. I'll make sure to get that out through my list of everybody here locally that can maybe take advantage of it.
It was a neat thing to do, and it meant a lot to people there are a lot of people that were really concerned that they couldn't get the cleaning products that they needed. So it was neat to be able to provide that.
Yeah, I do know now, was it Green Door Distilling? They shifted some of their production over, from whiskey. A lot of distilleries got that waiver to be able to do disinfectant. So I know that they're manufacturing, making disinfectant that you can get by the gallon full or just by spritz bottle, if anybody's curious about where to get some. But anyway.
Yeah, we actually bought some of that. Not from Green, but another group, and
nice.
That's what we're using for our hand sanitizer. Yeah, and we're grateful for it. And then we had planned an event. We usually do a kind of a spring giveaway event, and we shifted it. We were like, well, it's not going to work to do it the way we wanted to in May. And so we shifted it to focusing on hometown heroes, people who are doing something above and beyond in the community to help people. And so we asked people to send in nominations of someone who is doing something great for others during this time. And we offered free cleaning visits for the people who were selected. So we had many entries, and somehow it got picked up nationally. We started getting entries from like San Diego. And we're like, this is just a Kalamazoo thing.
You can't even fly out there if you wanted to, really.
You can, fly me out and I'll clean your house. But it was beautiful. Many people wrote in stories about people who are just sacrificing in many ways to help others during this time. And one couple, it was a couple, and they both work in healthcare, and they have a little child. And so they couldn't get childcare, so they had to work opposite shifts. So they weren't even seeing each other, just so the child could be cared for. But they were both going to work. Both of them very, very frontline workers. And another one works at 12 Baskets, and they are a food pantry, and their demand has gone way up. And so this person is working 6 days a week. She's a cancer patient herself. And she's also knitting and sewing masks and knitting the little extensions that go on the back. I mean, she's just like focused her whole life on helping others. And then also the people who developed Kalamazoo Menu were nominated. I mean, those are heroes. They're helping restaurants stay alive.
Yeah.
And so it was beautiful to hear the stories. And actually, I'll be releasing some interviews that I did with our hometown heroes here in the next week.
Oh, that is so awesome. I cannot wait to hear those and just hear about the amazing things that are going on here. So awesome. Where can others learn more about you or Jeannie Cleaning and these philanthropic efforts?
Yeah, so you can visit our website at jeanniecleaning.com, and the spelling is there, Jeannie. You can see it. And then also we're on Facebook. That's kind of like our primary spot where we hang out. So facebook.com/Jeannie Cleaning. And we try to remain as active as possible, let people know what we're doing. And, we're here to help. So if people need help, we always like to hear about it too.
Cool. So I know that we had one question. Eric Slesky, welcome back. Thanks for watching 2 weeks in a row. But he had asked if you are you taking any advantage of COVID? I think it's relief tax credits, probably, or COVID-related tax credits for your business, and if so, which ones?
I have not explored the tax credits yet, but I'm glad you brought that up, Eric. And I know that you'll be, someone who can help with that. We did receive the PPP loan, and so that has really been helpful to us getting back on track. Unfortunately, we received it really early before we were open, and there's an 8-week period, so that's a bit of a challenge. But any amount of it is helpful, and we're doing our best to make our business stronger so that we can continue to provide great jobs for people and great services for our community. But yeah, so we were able to take advantage of that.
Okay. So as we wrap up, just wanted to kind of summarize a bit about what we talked about. As owners and businesses are looking to reopen and engage, what do you think is the number one most important thing they should do?
Well, I would say communicate and learn and respond. There's so much information right now, and it's a lot to sift through. But each of us has a responsibility for our business to learn how it affects our business and how our business should respond. And to respond with positivity, to not be the voice of fear in our community, to be the voice of confidence, that we have to get this economy going again, that business is going to come back. I had some big goals for this year, and I know I shared those with you, Dan. But I'm not giving up on my goals. They might come a little bit later, but I truly believe, this country will come back. We're Americans. We have the American dream, and I'm not giving up on my dream. And so I encourage others not to give up on their dreams.
Well, I know with your work ethic and with your approach to everything with value and culture that I know you're going to hit them. And like you said, not everything is perfect, not everything works out, but I know you're moving in the right direction and working hard to get there. So thank you very much, Jeannie, for sharing some of your story with us here today. And like you were sharing for everybody looking to learn more, JeannieCleaning.com, threw that down in the chat below. If you'd like to be a part of or catch the next Road to Open live conversation, I will be talking with Josh Cook, founder, owner of Green Door Distilling, actually next Thursday. So if you'd like to get notified about that, you can get to mypocketmarketing.com/join or follow us on social. Otherwise, Jeannie, thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate having you.
Thank you, Dan. It was so good to see you, and good luck to you. I'm glad to hear things are going well for you.
Thank you very much, and keep in touch. Love to hear everything going on. Can't wait to see those videos of the stories and learn more about all the amazing heroes in town.
Thanks.
Right.
Bye. Yeah. Bye.